Welcome back to my Tosh Customs channel. I always say it as if there's another channel that exists. There's not. It's just this one. But welcome back. Today we'll be looking at my Mezco style Bane figure. There was a lot that went into this guy, but I mean, accessories wise, he's pretty simple. So we're just gonna breeze through that, and then we'll actually go into how this figure was made, because I did a lot with him and I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. So let's dive into his pairs of hands real quick. I'll remove the ones off the figure and we'll look at those as well as his other two pairs. So setting Bane to the side, obviously the first ones, these are the ones that I had him displayed with. He has his fisted hands, and I had to sculpt the knuckles, the metal like knuckle parts on all the hands, and so those are just painted in a gunmetal, and then the gloves themselves are fingerless gloves, so cool, are painted in just a matte black. And so those are the fisted hands out of the way. I also have these almost like throwing or maybe gesturing hands. Once again, the glove parts, or not the glove parts, the metal knuckles are done in gunmetal and the hands are painted black. And then finally, coming to the last ones, he has these open, these are kind of more like grabbing hands, I guess. He has these open hands and, gunmetal, matte black, easy peasy. This is, by the way, I used the Storm Collectibles Alex figure as a base, in case you guys are wondering, where you guys can buy it, how you guys can make it. That's the base of the figure. And I'll explain, the parts and everything in a little bit. So in case some of you guys are wondering, the hands, just like Mezco ones, which is very convenient, they just plug into the wrist peg. Just real nice and easy. There we go. They just pop in. Ooh, he is really far away on my desk. So I'm gonna have to stretch a little bit to work this guy out for you guys in view in the camera. Yeah, he's really tall. He is really tall. You know what? Since we're talking about height, we'll just dive into a size comparison real quick before we look at the figure. So here is my Mezco Batman standing in front of Bane. I'll raise the camera up a little bit. The Mezco Batman figure is about 6 inches, give or take some. So Bane is probably standing at like 8 or 9 inches tall. I don't know what that is in centimeters. I don't know the international unit conversion, but that's where Bane stands right there. He's a very, very big, wide figure. And here is, I'll add Nightwing to the mix as well. Nightwing, I built him purposely shorter than Batman. So let me lift up the camera again. As you can see, Nightwing stands a little bit shorter than Batman. I'm not sure if that's coming out clear on the camera, but he is, and he still stands very, very much smaller than Bane. So I feel like I got the size pretty accurate as far as how big Bane needs to be. And so now we're just going to take a closer look, so I get to bring Bane forward again at this figure himself. So the head, I had to fully sculpt the head. My favorite part was probably sculpting the bolt in the back. I thought that was really fun to do. But looking at the head here, I'm going to have to, let me see if there's I don't know how to get a good zoomed in look. I guess I just have to move my camera up. I'll just have to hold my camera for this so that it stays in frame and that I can get up close. So the head itself is sculpted. I did it off the Captain Britain Marvel Legends figure, and I forget what wave he came out in. I'll be honest. I forget what wave the Captain Britain figure came from, but that's what we're looking at right here. So I had to sculpt the zipper down the back, and I had to sculpt this whole face piece right here. So, everything is covered up. The only thing that's pretty much original Captain Britain is just those little ear pieces on the side. Oops, sorry. I can feel my stand falling off my camera. So yeah, so that's the Bane mask. I'm pretty happy with it. The zipper runs all the way back and runs all the way to the bolt where his hose plugs in. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna zoom back out now. Looking at the tank top, it's actually much smaller. I bought it off a clothes lot that was supposed to be for the I think it was like the WWE Rock figure. But thankfully it's out of a stretchy material, and so I was actually able to stretch it over this guy's whole body And it works out really, really nicely because it looks like he's busting out of his tank top. You know, Bane just got huge from his venom injection, and his clothes are having a rough time holding it together, which is also why I like the little tears in the pants too. Just like he's really, really, you know, tight in those clothes. He's gotten really, really buff. So I like that a lot. When we're talking about venom, I picked out his veins in this nice, bright, almost like neonish green. So I have them in the arms and in the neck there. There's not too many veins on this figure, so I didn't go nuts on it. But what I did instead to add some detail, I'm not sure if you'll see it or not, but I added all these little pink scars. There's some there. I don't know if the camera will focus on it or not. There we go. You can see I added a lot of like little scars and scratches to Bane. As you can tell, I mean, there's another one there. There's one that runs across his shoulder. Hopefully that's coming out clearly for you guys. It fades into the skin a little bit, as scars do. But, you know, I wanted to make him look like he's been in some fights. This guy has seen his fair share of battles and has walked out of them. So, that's just kind of a basic look at Bane. So now, going into how I actually made him besides that, I had to make his whole venom thing in his backpack. So what I did was, this whole wire piece is pulled off of, I think it's like the DC Missions Bane or whatever. There's this new figure of Bane that came out, and a lot of people have been using it because of the translucent green wire, or, you know, soft plastic thing. So that's what I did there. So I sculpted his wrist controller piece. I sculpted that and just plugged that in on there. And so that's just painted with silver, black, and then some bright red, some gloss bright red in there for the button. And so that's just on his arm. And then it runs up the arm. I have it strapped down with elastic. And then elastic is great. It does so many functions because it keeps things tight. It's so, so good. So then it runs up and plugs into the backpack. And I also sculpted another bolt at the bottom of the backpack for where the venom tube plugs in. And the backpack itself, sorry, I keep on having to move this figure to the side. He's so large, and I can't hold the camera and point and stuff like that at the same time. So the backpack itself is actually from a stormtrooper. So it comes from the winter one, and the winter, like that snow stormtrooper, this is the way this is the orientation that his backpack sits at. So I turned it to the side because I saw this little like venting piece. And so I turned that into some bright neon green, the same that's on his veins. And then I painted it also in there. So the whole backpack is sprayed matte black with some gunmetal highlights. And then the tube plugs into the other side and runs to the head. And then I also picked it out with some little red buttons and details in there. Coming down to the waist now, this used to be a Deadpool logo. I put a little red circle on the inside, sculpted that in there, and then painted all of that so that it looks a little bit more like his classic Bane belt. And then these little extra venom pods, I guess, they are from the Omega Red, the Marvel Legends Omega Red figure. Pulled them off and plugged them in there. Originally, I had this idea to use some of Star-Lord's guns as some venom tanks, but as I was building this figure, I decided to go for more like a classic comic book look. And so these venom pods added a little bit of some unique detail, but the bigger canisters just had no place on the figure, so I eventually had to scrap that idea. Coming down to the legs now, they're painted in this semi-gloss black, so there's a little bit of shine to them, which I like. It makes it look a little bit more like their sweatpants, I think, like some exercise, you know, stretchy sweatpant type things. I know Bane doesn't normally have this, at least I don't think any iterations of the comic have him with it, but I thought it'd be cool to have that little red stripe that runs down the leg. It reminds me of like some of those old Adidas sweats or something. So I did that just to give him more of that like gym luchador wrestler look. Then I sculpted these knee pads in, so I have to actually, you can see where the sculpting starts and stops on the knee. So I sculpted in these new knee pads, and I added these big giant metal bolts on the front. It just feels like a very Bane thing to be wearing, especially since he has the metal on the gloves already. So I thought this was perfect. And then there's some scuffing done in silver along the edge and along some of the edges of the bolts there. So, you know, that's seen some battle wear and tear. Also, coming down to the boots, they're done in a flat black with then some leather brown, picking out the bottoms of the boots and just, you know, the back stripe and what runs around it. The lining is also done in brown, so you can see there. And then I picked out the eyelets, I think is what they're called, in silver. And then at the tip of the boot, he normally has these bolts showing. I sculpted over them. Like he has some pegs where the toe hinge gets plugged in, and I sculpted over that so the boot is now seamless. And then I also sculpted in a little gunmetal toe cap. So now when he kicks people, it hurts just a little bit more. He's already huge, but you know, that hurts just a little bit more. He needs that extra punch on Batman. Other than that, nothing really crazy. That's the work I went into it. So I sculpted the head, I sculpted the fists, sculpted the little wrist compartment piece, or the little Venom activator control piece, and then his knees and his feet. The rest of it's just a good paint job. So yeah, this is a relatively quicker review. I guess it's not as complicated to put this figure together. It was equally as pricey. I think the Alex figure runs for like $60 to $80 online. So, but you still have to put in your fair share to get all your materials, because that doesn't include the other Bane figure for that piping. So, I mean, he costs, as much as a Mezco custom is going to cost. So if you're trying to customize any of the figures I've shown so far, just expect that price point. That's just what it costs to get figures at this scale with that kind of detail. But yeah, I'm very happy with him. I think he fits in very nicely against Nightwing and Batman. Obviously the black cloth works nicely, and I think the details work out pretty well too. I'm very happy with how he stands next to them. Feels just like a really, really big guy. He's going to break Batman's back. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this review. If you guys have once again, I always say this, but if you guys have any questions about how I do things, hopefully I will eventually kind of make tutorials. Obviously the stuff I've already made, I won't be able to make tutorials for them, but hopefully in the future, I'll take more pictures and just give a little bit of a deeper look into how I put things together. But the best way to get in contact with me is through Instagram. I have a link, not probably in the bio if I don't forget, but definitely in the about section on my channel. There is a link for my Instagram. If you guys are just searching for it, it is Tosh, Tosh _customs. There's no capitals or anything like that, so you don't need to worry about that. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, if you like what you're seeing with the channel, please like and please subscribe. Your support goes a long way, and it just helps move my customs and this channel forward. So I really appreciate it. I'm trying to think about if there's anything else. I think that's about it. I'll be filming a lot more reviews on some customs I've made recently, so you can expect to see those very soon. But yeah, especially go to my Instagram. I say this in every video, but that's the early access of my page of my custom. So if you really want to see stuff getting done, you want to see it firsthand, that shows up. It shows up on my page before it shows up on YouTube. So go there, give me a follow there. I have giveaways when I hit certain follower milestones. I let guys know when commissions are open. I sell figures through there. So that's the place you want to be if you want to keep up with my work. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. All right, see you soon.